Everyone, Meowington here. Welcome back. And baseball is really weird. And I'm about to tell you why and show you why, but it's why I love the sport and why so many other people do love the sport. And there is a lot to go through for this one, so it might be a bit of a long one. So, let's get it started with the fact that we are 64 and 66 if you noticed, because we somehow ended up going 14 and 13. We went over 500 in one of the months where I thought we'd probably end up in the 300s if not 400s. And take a look at our beginning of the month. We went 4 losses in a row before we won, and then we lost another 2. So we were 1 and 6 up until this point, and I was going, oh boy, this is pretty much what I was expecting. Cardinals destroyed us. We took 1 game out of the 5 we played against them. Pittsburgh, we actually took a game off then, which was pretty cool. But after that, we just won every series except I guess against Milwaukee, where we went 1 and 2. But against Miami, we won 3 of 4. Against the Dodgers, we won 2 and 2. So I guess we technically split. We swept the Rangers. We went 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, and then 2 out of 3 against the Angels. So yeah, we ended up going over 500, and not only that, but our batting and our pitching wasn't even that good, and we just sort of won. That's it, we just won. It was really weird. I mean, I'm about to show you guys some stuff, but before we get to that, um, I believe I talked about this last time, but I guess I'll just go through the mail actually. Yeah, okay, so I'll just go through the mail real quickly. So, David Bookbinder, I don't know. I was complaining about like the really crazy injuries where there's just like tons of people that are out for months at a time. Torn labrum in the shoulder, 9 months. So we lose this guy for basically the entirety of the next season, almost I guess. Not quite, but he misses quite a bit of the next season, I believe. And yeah, I mean, he seems like he's gonna have decent ratings, even though he's not batting too well. So it's a bit of a shame. He's 21 years old, so that's gonna hold him back a little bit. He's not like some really crazy good prospect, but yeah, it's just again me complaining about those super long injuries again, but I guess they happen. Here's what I was talking about earlier with Seng Hwan Oh or Sung Hwan Oh. I don't know how you pronounce his name, and I'm sorry for butchering it. But the waiver trade went through where I gave them Ernesto Liberator, who is pretty decent. He's nothing amazing. I think it's probably because his OSA ratings. I don't really like checking these, so I don't want to cheat. Even though it's technically not cheating, so whatever here. Yeah, that's what it was. I get his OSA rating was 3.5 stars, so they valued it a little bit higher. But I mean, he is batting well. 100 plate appearances, and he was batting 330, 388, 468. Definitely not bad. It's like, yeah, he's 20 years old in rookie league, but whatever. It's still pretty good. And I'm surprised they're actually keeping him in the rookie league. I thought they'd at least move him to like a low A ball or something. But yeah, we pulled out Sung Hwan Oh, or I guess I'll just call him O, because I don't know if I'm pronouncing the first part right. I don't want to butcher it too badly, but whatever. Shouldn't be too big of a deal, as I've definitely mispronounced other stuff. Adam Duvall, who got hurt for 6 weeks with an elbow strain. He is 2 to 3 weeks to go, so he's almost back. He hasn't been batting too great, so he's not super sorely missed, but you know, it sucks to get people getting hurt. And one thing that I really want to get into, the reason I saved this was to remind myself. So basically one of our pitchers, I believe it was Tyler Chatwood, who was having issues, and I said I brought him back down. So one of the things that I tried to do was I put, I think his name is Michael, but I forget what his first name is, but his last name is Lorenzen. He was our long relief guy, and I decided to give him a few starts in starting pitcher to see if he could maybe hold up our 5th spot. And he did horribly. So after about like 4 or 5 games, you know what? I'm like, I'm going to look through our farm. Actually, I looked through waivers and I looked through free agents and there was nothing there. So I'm like, all right, let's look at our farm, see what we have. Let's start with AAA. And I found this guy named Rookie Davis, who I've been keeping my eye on recently. And he was doing fairly okay, but I lost track of him after a certain while. I decided to give him a spot start to see how he would do. And he really sold it. You can see here, Cincinnati Reds starter Rookie Davis pitched a strong game against the LA Dodgers at Great American Ballpark, leading the Reds to a 7-6 win. In 6.2 innings, Davis surrendered 5 hits while striking out 6 and walking 1. He allowed 1 run. So he went 6.2 innings, 5 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 run. And the reason I'm not clicking on him is because I want to tell you something before I show you. But this guy's really been trying to prove his worth because he's been killing it. I'm probably gonna jinx him, and this is what's happened before with my other guys, where they start off great and then they just fall off a cliff and get a bunch of bad starts. But so far, he's pitching well when we need him to, and it's September, so if he just keep it up for one more month, that'd really be amazing. But here, these are the starts that he had. So he has had 3 starts for us where he's pitched 6.2 innings, 5.2 innings, and then 8 innings pitched. And I'm mad about this one, but I'll explain that in a bit. So we already went over the first start. The second start, he went 5.2 innings with 5 hits, no runs scored, 0 earned runs, only 1 walk with 9 Ks. And this one, he went 8 innings with 4 hits, no runs, no well, and actually no home runs because no runs, 2 walks and 6 Ks. And he actually could have had a complete game shutout right here, but for some reason they took him out of the game. He was only 96 pitches in, which I'll admit, is kind of high, and he does have 62 stamina. But I guess because it was the AI controlling him, once he tires out, they decide to swap him in. But if this was me, I would have kept him going. Like, he could have definitely gone into the hundreds, even if he remained a little bit tired, just so I can give the kid his complete game shutout after his 3rd major league freaking appearance as a starter, right? And yeah, that would have been amazing. So yeah, he's been doing amazing for us. Look at this, .44 ERA over 20 innings. He's allowed 1 run, 14 hits, 4 walks with 21 Ks. He is killing it right now. So if he can keep this up into September, that would be awesome. And I think we might have found our number 5 guy going in the next year, maybe even a little bit higher if he can keep this up. So please don't fizzle out. But he is young, he's only 23, so if he does start having issues, I don't blame him. Still needs to work on his stuff a little bit. His movement can get a little bit better as well, and his curveball can still use some refinement. Changeup too, so got a lot of room to grow. Still very young. Next up is Blake Wood, yet another ridiculously long injury. I hate this so much, but what can I do? Torn labrum, shoulder, 11 to 12 months. He was one of our hottest relievers, if not our actual hottest reliever, and we lost him when it was very important. So we don't have him, and you know what? We're probably just going to not even have him on the team anymore because he won't be there for practically the entirety of the next season. If I do make it to the playoffs, that's about when I'll have him back. And to be honest, he already has a low control that's being very questionable. So this is probably going to keep going down, and next year I probably would have only had him for the next year and then dropped him after that, unless he pitched absolutely spectacularly. So after being injured, having to probably do like a rehab stint and just all that, like I don't know, I don't know if I really want to bother with it. His control is just going to drop so drastically, and he's going to start giving up tons of walks. I don't know if it'll really be worth it. So yeah, Blake Wood is probably going to be off the team. Power rankings to show you where we're at. This was on the 29th, so I think only like 1 day has passed with a loss. So it's fairly accurate. We are 12th right now. And lastly, before we move on, IL's top hitter, Louisville Bats fans may just have witnessed a star player blossoming before their eyes in August. I'm going to butcher this, I'm sorry. Eric Jaggiello put up a remarkable month at the age of 24 and has been named the International League Batter of the Month. For the month, Jaggiello hit .293 with 7 homers, 23 ribbies, and 21 runs scored. I will show you his stats now and his ratings. Sorry, I should say ratings and then stats is what I meant. So these are his ratings, and in AAA he is batting .279, .368, .519. That's his slash with a 3.1 WAR. So he's doing excellently, and he's done well in basically every level he's been in. In A+, he was mashing. AA, he still did very well. AAA, he's absolutely killing it yet again. And his ratings seem about adequate. He's pretty much ready. So I'm probably going to call him into the bigs next year. And he's probably going to be our starting third baseman, more than likely. Because I compared his, I compared his stats with our current third baseman, who I think is Suarez. And this guy edges him out ever so slightly in most categories, and the fact that he's pretty young too, and actually I think he has like 1 or 2 years on Suarez, so age isn't a huge deal, but he's doing very well, so I definitely want to see how he can do, and I'm definitely excited. Oh, look at this too, his developments. He's just been going plus, 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 gaining and everything. The only ratings he's lost are some defensive ratings, which then improved again anyway 2 more times, so he surpassed what he lost, and then his potential I dropped, and his current speed, and his speed only dropped 1 point anyway, so it's not even that big of a deal. Like, he's still at about an average speed. So pretty excited for this guy, and he's probably going to be on the team next year, so look out for him. Unless he gets hurt for 12 months, knock on wood. So let's see. What did I put down? So let's look at lineups, I guess. I wrote down a couple of random stuff again on Notepad to remind myself. And Pacheco, he is down and got demoted into AAA, and we instead called Alden Carithers. He is a third baseman who can play second, third, and left extremely well with great defensive ratings. His stealing potential, or his stealing statistic, is very high, and his speed is not too bad. It's about average, so he can get a couple stolen bags here and there because he has a good instinct. And his ratings are definitely not bad. He's got pretty much average contact, slightly above average eye and discipline, nothing too amazing. His avoid K is really good. He just lacks home run power, but he could be a pretty decent like on-base average guy, mainly like an on-base guy. As you can see, he's had 34 plate appearances and he's knocked in 12 hits. He's got 4 runs, knocked in a homer, 4 RBIs, and drawn 2 walks with only 4 strikeouts. He even has 2 stolen bags too. So he hasn't done anything amazing, but he's just like a guy who comes in when people are tired, or yeah, basically just people are tired. And I also bumped him up a little bit more on his starts with Suarez, just because, like I said, Suarez isn't really batting amazingly, even though he's doing all right. And Carithers is doing fairly well with the few limited at bats he gets, so I'm giving him a little bit of time to share with Suarez to see how he does. Even though I pretty much have a guaranteed third baseman already in my AAA, this guy could he could play second and left too, just in case, because we still technically need a left fielder. Holt isn't really cutting it. He started off super hot, but then he really fell off a cliff, and his ratings are really amazing, so I could only expect them to go down, which I believe they actually have. I was comparing them to an earlier video I made, and he's like lost contact and everything's pretty much gone down, or like 2 or 3 different ratings have gone down. So Tyler Holt might not be on the team for very long. And Winker, he's the one who has potential and he's still young, so he might be my future left fielder. So it might be maybe Carithers, if he keeps batting well, he'll be the starting left fielder, and then Winker will get to stay in the bigs, and he'll stay as a maybe every third or fourth day or that type of deal, so that he keeps getting looks at major league pitchers, and he can keep improving his improving his ratings until I see him be ready enough to take over the starting spot, because Carithers is 31 years old already. He's going to be 32, so he's going to be 32 next year. And I know that's not super old, but when you got someone this young getting ready to take over, it's like you really want someone to be like the future of the franchise or so type of deal in certain positions, especially since I'm preparing myself to do a rebuild. I've been doing a rebuild, so I know, very long-winded just for one position, but I just wanted to get that across because I like letting people know my thoughts on things and how I want to approach things in the future. Let's see. Everything else seems to be spoken about, except one more thing. Billy Hamilton, I did sign him to a 3-year extension. I actually got him really cheap, and I feel kind of bad for doing this because I know in real life he would never get an extension this cheap. He might actually already have another contract, but as you can see, he has a $2 million on the first year, 2.5 in the second. So this is why, since I felt guilty, I gave him a player opt-out after the second year if he wants to take that. And then on the third season, he's getting 3.250 mil and some small clauses and incentives. But yeah, he's definitely getting underpaid for how much he has produced this year with a 3.1 WAR so far, even though his 2015 hasn't been that great. And this is a little bit of a better year for him than he mostly has. That is very true, but I don't know. I feel like that is very underpaying for him. But he mentioned that he did take the contract, at least the mail I got, because he's loyal to Cincinnati and he really likes the city. So hopefully he can keep producing like he's doing for us right now, and then some. I definitely would like to see his on-base percentage go up a little bit, but we'll have to see. His ratings have improved, so let's see if the Flash can continue being the Flash. And after that, there is one more thing I wanted to talk about as well. We have this guy right here, Ramon Cabrera, who's a pretty good catcher, and I think I'm going to call him up next year to be our backup catcher to give Barnhart some rest every 6 days, just because, catchers have to work pretty hard, because he has been doing very well in AAA. His previous year in AAA, he didn't do half bad, and then his double A, he did pretty well here. His first year or the first time he was in double A, didn't do too great until he got moved. Maybe traded, I don't know what that was. But he started doing pretty well then in triple A, and now he's doing amazingly. He's putting up a great slash line. I guess he doesn't really slug for much, but 304 average, 373 on base percentage, like I'll take that any day, especially if he's going to be a backup. And he has definitely pretty solid defensive ratings. So if Barnhart ever does go down, very solid backup. Uh, Expectation is playing in majors. I hope he's okay with being a bench role. And as a catcher, he actually has not bad speed. So maybe he can steal some bases, although he's got caught stealing quite a bit. So we might not need to push him too much. I was debating using him as a trade piece, I think, but then I remembered he only had 1-star rating, I believe. We don't really have too much in our AAA right now. Judge Yellow is about it, who's going to be called up, and then Ramon Cabrera, but outside of that, no one's doing amazing. This Bryson Smith guy is batting pretty well, so maybe we can keep him here for a little bit, maybe one more year, and see what we can do with him the year after or something. It's pretty interesting. And taking a look at our... I guess you guys really quickly, I won't have to talk about it. I'll just sort it really quickly by average. You can pause if you want to take a look at where people are. So there's average. Here's on-base percentage if you want to pause for this. Here's slugging. ISO. OPS. BABIP. WAR. And stolen bags. So that's for the whole month, or the whole season. So I'm going to do it by the month of August this time, so you can see how we did last month. And Alden Carruthers, as we saw, was definitely a very hot bat. Over only 30 plate appearances, but what can you do? Eugenio Suarez did step it up, though. Over 88 plate appearances, he gave up. He did 329 average, 364 on base percentage with 463 slugging. 827 OPS, not bad. Didn't really snag any bases. And he gave us 2 homers, 7 RBIs, 9 runs, 27 hits in those. So not a bad month for him at all. Even though he doesn't have the best ratings so far, it didn't seem to help him that much because he was not doing so hot previously. So hopefully he has another good month. Joey Votto doing Joey Votto things, 114 plate appearances, 84 at-bats, knocked in 27 hits. He gave us 18 RBIs with 4 homers, 14 runs, 30. Yes, that is 30 walks. Holy cow, with 18 strikeouts. How many walks does this man have on the year? 114. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, yeah, of course, Votto doing well. God, I love Votto, dude. I love you, Votto. Thank you. Please keep producing. We need you, buddy. Hold on a few more years. We'll try and get you a championship. Does he have one? I can't tell if one of these is champion. Pretty sure it's not. Yeah, that's a gold glove. Alright, I'll try and get you a championship, buddy. Don't worry. Tyler Holt had a not amazing month. I mean, he did alright. He did alright in terms of average. His on-base percentage wasn't horrid, and he didn't really slug for much. Kurt Suzuki had a surprisingly decent month because he's been doing fairly poorly, even though he is a backup. Winker did a little bit better, so he kind of stepped it up a bit as well. You can see his average went up slightly, and he still has a decent on-base percentage. Doesn't really slug for much, but that's alright. I mean, he's technically only someone who gives people rest right now, so that they don't get too tired or overworked. And then from there on, there's not too much. Adrianza got on base, but didn't slug for anything. His average is meh. No, Barnhart, not too much. And then from here on, it's just Cozart did poorly. Waldrop did poorly. Hamilton did pretty poorly. DeJesus just non-existent, and then Brandon Phillips didn't get a single hit. I really wish he was off this team already. I'm gonna try and trade him next year because he's taking up a lot of money. Maybe I can get rid of him in the offseason. I don't know. Damn it, Phillips. You're not even a good backup. You're literally negative WAR. Oh well, what can you do? So we're gonna go over back to regular season. Look at our pitching. You can see how many innings pitched you have. So, Cotham has definitely given us a lot of work. We haven't had O on our team for a while, but 64 innings out of him, 59 out of Singrani. So let's do really quickly. You can pause for this stuff. So here's the ERAs. Average against. BABIP. WHIP. Homers per 9. Walks per 9. Jesus, Singrani. Is that really real? G is 30G Singrani. That's crazy. K9. KBB ratio. Wait, was that Singrani? No, that was McGee. Okay. KBB ratio, ERA plus, and then FIP, and last but not least, WAR. So, who's actually our best reliever in terms of WAR? Is it really McGee? I don't think that's for us though. Yeah, he's only at 0.3 for us. So the one who we've had is Singrani at 0.7. Although we had Wood. Wood was killing it. It was like at 0.9 or something. Yeah, Wood. I can't believe we went down. We needed you, bud. That one hurt. So now we're going to August really quick. We're going to check out how people did. Rookie Davis with his .44. Easy peasy. Desclafani, 369. Not too bad. And then it just kind of gets a little sketchy here where the earned runs start getting a little high. Iglesias giving up 18 over 30 innings, which is pretty ridiculous. You have Caleb Cotham, who really slumped. He gave up 1 earned run per inning pitch, basically. John Lamb giving up 18 over 27, which isn't as bad as Iglesias. Or actually, it's worse. It's worse. And the worst part is he gave up 7 home runs, which is just ouch. Like he really got destroyed. You can see average against, people just teeing off of Cotham, Lamb, Lawrenson, Manship. I even forgot about Manship, actually. How's he's been doing for us? He's at a negative .4 WAR. Oh yeah, Manship has not been doing so hot. Alright, well, what can you do? No one's on waivers right now. No one's in free agency. Can't really trade. I'm not good with BABIP, so you guys can check that out. Here's the whips. You can see, just really high whips because people are just walking a lot, letting up a lot of hits. Finnegan, 27 hits and 16 walks over 33 innings. Not really the best, but I guess apparently that wasn't a terrible whip. 1.28. 16-27 over 33. Yeah, I guess it would be worse for the relievers, huh? Yeah, 21 hits allowed and 8 walks over 18, and then 15 hits allowed and 7 walks. Yeah, this Cotham line is just horrendous. Wow. Poor guy got destroyed. Let's see some of these games. 2 runs. Wow, with only 0.1 inning. Gave up a homer. Gave up a homer. Ouch. Blown save. Well, that's not good. So that was the pitching. As you can see, we didn't really have too much amazing stuff. Like, a lot of people did well, but then a lot of them did really poorly. The bats weren't amazing. A couple people were. I was very split. Like, I feel like I had other months where the pitching was better, or the hitting was way better, or both just happened to be better. But we just ended up winning for some reason. Like I said, we just won. It just happened, and it was so weird. So I don't know. Let's see how we do in September now that we got to face St. Louis again 7 more times. They seem to be our kryptonite, so hopefully we could take it back at them. Pittsburgh, we did struggle a bit, and we have to face them even more times. Milwaukee, too, beat us in our in the matchup we had against them. Sorry, couldn't think. We did fairly okay against Chicago, so maybe. I mean, this one, if anything, if there was a month where we're going to do the worst, I would say September. I say September is definitely more loaded and harder than August has been. So here's hoping we pull something out of our butts and go at even 500. But sadly, I think at this rate, we're out of the race. Yeah, it would take nothing short of a miracle because of how behind we are. It's a shame because we're really close to 500, and we could have, bumped it up a bit more if we had a really good August and September, but we just had really tough teams, and I wasn't really expecting to get into playoffs on the first year, definitely, especially since I traded so many pieces currently to try and rebuild and just, get rid of a lot of expensive contracts and save money for later and get a lot of farm pieces. But it still would have been nice, to see how we do. But playing around 500 ball, that's not too bad. I'll take it. I honestly expected to go about 70 wins, but we're on pace to do about 75-ish. Maybe a little bit more if we get lucky. So here's hoping we do well. And I guess I've gone over everything. I went over all the emails, our lineup, and everything. I'm trying to think of anything last minute, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So wish me luck for September and October. I'm going to be doing both of them because October it's literally 2 games, so it'd really be a waste. And I'm kind of nervous, but sort of excited. Even though we won't get into the playoffs, I just want to see how we do and hope we don't bomb and go something like 300. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this far, and hopefully you are excited to see what happens in the future as well as for this September slugfest and murder fest. So I'll see you next time. Bye bye.